Breaking news right now on a big story we just discussed on this program yesterday. A major arrest. Brian Cole of Virginia is now reportedly in custody for allegedly planting the pipe bombs outside of both the Democratic National Committee headquarters and the Republican National Committee headquarters in Washington, D.C. on the night of January 5th, 2021. Law enforcement activity was seen at what is believed to be his home. This morning, we are showing video here on our screen from Fox News, which just shows law enforcement and police tape outside of this home. The arrest comes nearly 5 years after the incident in a high-profile case that has befuddled law enforcement for years. But we don't understand why. We've never understood why this case was so seemingly impossible to crack. It's unclear what exact charges this Brian Cole faces. We're expecting an FBI press conference later this afternoon. We are told it could happen within the hour. We are monitoring it and we'll bring it to you if and when it happens. Here, in the meantime, is the FBI previously explaining what happened when those bombs were placed that night.
The suspect's height is approximately 5'7" tall. The suspect wore a face mask, a gray hooded sweatshirt, and black gloves. They used a backpack to transport each of the devices. They were wearing distinctive Nike Air Max Speed Turf shoes, which are black and gray with the yellow Nike logo. Fewer than 25,000 of these shoes were sold between August 2018 and January 2021. The first time the suspect is seen is at approximately 7:34 p.m. at the intersection of 1st Street and North Carolina Avenue Southeast. This footage shows the suspect sitting on the DNC bench before placing the first bomb. Here we see the suspect place the bomb at approximately 7:54 p.m. They placed the second pipe bomb at approximately 8:16 p.m. The suspect then turns back onto Rumsey Court, walking east until the person is last seen on camera at approximately 8:18 p.m., wearing the backpack on their shoulders. The bomb is believed to have been placed shortly before this video, based on how the suspect is carrying the backpack.
According to the New York Times, the break in the case was not thanks to a new tip or any additional information. I mean, that's remarkable. What they're reporting is that they discovered a new lead within the FBI after reviewing previously compiled investigative files. As the new leadership team there, FBI Director Kash Patel and Deputy Director Dan Bongino, have made solving this case a priority. Dan Bongino, when he was a podcast host, had said for a long, long time that he believed this case was solvable. He also theorized that it might be an inside job by law enforcement, but he'd long been saying this is solvable and had been asking questions about why it hadn't been solved. And now here they are 6 months in power and appearing to have solved it. This is, let's see, from the Washington Post this morning. They give some background saying more about how this is not based on a new breakthrough, but that the FBI sources have been going through the voluminous trove of material, largely collected in 2021 and 2022. They write the suspect's arrest is expected to cause significant embarrassment for the Bureau and the enormous team it assigned to the pipe bomb investigation, the two sources said. Not meaning Kash and Dan's team, meaning the team that was there under previous leadership, saying the suspect could have been arrested years ago if investigators had earlier connected the dots they already had in hand. This is the Washington Post writing, quote, "This development could also be seen as vindication of Deputy FBI Director Dan Bongino, who has long focused on the pipe bomb case and has urged the Bureau to redouble its efforts to solve it when he took efforts." Wow, that must have been hard for you to write, Carol Lenning. Let's see. The timing of the arrest comes as Kash Patel's under fire. The suspect placed the pipe bombs the night before January 6th. They were discovered 15 hours later on the day of January 6th. This is one of the largest cases in the Bureau's history. The FBI subpoenaed box store retailers for credit card transaction data to obtain the identities of people who bought the kind of battery connectors they thought were used in the bombs. They were actual bombs. Agents then compared the list of purchasers to the owners of phones located near the DNC and RNC party headquarters around the time of the explosives being planted. They concluded that there was no match. They focused on the clothing of the bomber. They believe they identified the shoe, as you heard in that little soundbite we played. Agents filed subpoenas for credit card receipts from shoe sellers like Foot Locker and others, obtaining a list of about 1,200 sneaker sales. They then compared the credit cards used to those used purchasing bomb components. That's actually good police work from the sound of it. In January, the Bureau released new video of the unidentified suspect. And at that time, they said they'd visited more than 1,200 residences and businesses, conducted more than 1,000 interviews, reviewed approximately 39,000 video files, and assessed more than 600 tips about who may have placed the bombs. Okay, and then they go on from there. It's long been a target of scrutiny by House Republicans who accuse the FBI and Justice Department of failing to investigate it thoroughly. Just to be clear, I just want to, no, this is posted. Does Carol Lenning still write for WAPO? She's co-authoring this piece with Ken Delaney and under MS Now. So just to be clear, she's with MS Now. Okay, but she was a long-time Washington Post writer. In any event, so that was MS Now that I was quoting from, not WAPO. Forgive me for that. But here's what's interesting about this case, among other things. Since the beginning, the left has been trying to paint this as a Trumper, as a guy who is connected with the J6 riots, that the J6ers meant to sow chaos, and that this was some sort of, Jimmy Kimmel style, some MAGA guy who wanted to unleash hell on Washington, D.C., when MAGA wasn't getting its way on Trump winning. This is back in 2020. And this is unconfirmed, but it was reported by NBC today that this guy may have had links, this guy under arrest now, this Brian Cox, may have arrests. Brian Cole. I said that this morning. Brian Cox is the guest we had on our show 2 days ago talking about the military strike down off our southern border. I almost fell out of my chair when I actually made that mistake in my head. Like, oh my God, what? Sorry, it's not Brian Cox. It's Brian Cole, who's under arrest. Not related to our guest the other day at all. My apologies, Brian. And unconfirmed, we'll find out more. But MSNBC or NBC actually reporting today that there is a suspected link between this guy and Antifa. Now that would be very interesting. Hold your fire on that, because that's only one outlet, and we expect to hear directly from the FBI shortly on whether or not that's true.
Ever read the label on a typical bag of chips? It's often a science experiment of seed oils, MSG, artificial dyes, and mystery ingredients. Masa is part of the growing movement to bring back real food. Masa chips contain just 3 ingredients: organic corn, sea salt, and 100% grass-fed beef tallow. Not only do these chips avoid the bad stuff, they also taste delicious too. Snacking on Masa chips is nothing like eating regular chips. With Masa, you feel satisfied, light, and energetic with no crash and no bloat. And if you love Masa, then you will love Vandy Crisps. Vandy, which is Masa's sister company, makes the most delicious 3-ingredient potato chips too. Ready to give Masa or Vandy a try? Use code MK for 25% off your first order at masachips.com or vandycrisps.com, or simply click the link in the video description or scan the QR code to claim this delicious offer. Don't feel like ordering online? Masa and Vandy are now available nationwide at your local Sprouts supermarket. Stop by and pick a couple of bags up before they're all gone.
Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.